The idea of selling your business without a broker can be appealing. You avoid paying broker commission, typically 5 to 10% of the sale price, which on a $500,000 business means $25,000 to $50,000 saved. That's significant money that stays in your pocket. But selling a business privately isn't for everyone, and it's certainly not easy. It requires significant time, expertise, emotional resilience, and careful execution. Done poorly, you could cost yourself far more than broker fees through a lower sale price, failed transactions, or legal problems. Today, we're walking through exactly how to sell a business without a broker in Australia, the complete process, the potential pitfalls, and honest guidance about when private sale makes sense and when professional help is worth the investment. Before diving into the how-to, let's honestly assess whether you should sell privately. Private sale makes the most sense in specific situations. You have a readily identifiable buyer, perhaps a competitor has already expressed interest, maybe a key employee wants to buy the business, or a family member is taking over. When there's an obvious buyer already in place, a broker adds limited value. The main work is negotiation and documentation, which can be handled with good lawyers and accountants. Your business is relatively straightforward, simple operations, clean financials, no complex assets or intellectual property, clear value proposition. The more complex your business, the more value a broker brings in positioning and marketing it effectively. You have significant time available. Selling a business privately can easily consume 10 to 20 hours per week for several months. You need to prepare materials, field inquiries, conduct showings, manage negotiations, coordinate advisors. If you're still running the business full-time, this is extremely challenging. You have relevant expertise, business valuation knowledge, marketing and sales skills, negotiation experience, understanding of legal and financial matters. You don't need to be an expert in everything. You'll still engage lawyers and accountants, but you need enough sophistication to manage the process competently. You can handle emotional pressure. Selling your business is emotionally charged. Negotiating directly with buyers, handling objections about your business's value, dealing with due diligence questions that feel like personal criticism. It requires thick skin and emotional discipline. Private sale may not make sense if you need maximum market exposure to find buyers, if your business is complex or unique, requiring specialized marketing, if you lack time to manage the process properly, if you're not comfortable with direct negotiation and sales, or if maintaining confidentiality is critical and difficult to manage yourself. Be brutally honest in this assessment. Many sellers overestimate their capabilities and underestimate the complexity. The money saved on broker commission can easily be lost through lower sale price, extended time on market, or failed transactions that damage business value. Even if you're selling privately, you absolutely need a professional business valuation. This typically costs $2,000 to $5,000 for a small business, up to $10,000 or more for larger or complex operations. It's money well spent for several critical reasons. First, it provides objective market value based on comparable sales, industry multiples, and professional analysis, not your emotional attachment or wishful thinking. Second, it gives you credibility with buyers. A professional valuation report from a qualified valuer carries weight. Third, it protects you legally. If the deal goes sideways and the buyer claims you misrepresented value, a professional valuation is your documentation that you acted reasonably. Engage a qualified business valuer. Look for someone with certification from the Australian Property Institute or similar professional body, experience in your industry or business type, and recent comparable sales in your market. Don't just use your accountant unless they specialize in business valuations. Tax accounting and business valuation are different skill sets. The valuation should consider multiple methodologies. Asset-based approach for businesses where physical assets are significant. Income approach using multiples of profit or cash flow, most common for small businesses. Market approach comparing your business to recent sales of similar businesses. Most importantly, the valuation should provide a realistic range, not a single number. Understanding the range helps you set an asking price that attracts buyers while leaving room for negotiation. A common approach is listing at the higher end of the valuation range, expecting to negotiate down within that range. Don't make the amateur mistake of overpricing significantly beyond professional valuation. Yes, you can always come down in price, but overpriced listings sit on market for months, which itself becomes a red flag to buyers. They wonder what's wrong with the business if it hasn't sold. Stale listings often eventually sell for less than they would have if priced correctly from the start. Your next major task is preparing comprehensive documentation that positions your business effectively while protecting confidentiality. The centerpiece is the information memorandum, also called a sales memorandum or business profile. A professional IM typically includes several key sections: an executive summary highlighting the opportunity in one compelling page, detailed business description covering history, operations, products or services, and business model, financial performance showing 3 years of profit and loss, ideally professionally prepared by an accountant. This should include revenue trends, profit margins, and key financial metrics. Include operational details about premises and lease terms, plant and equipment inventory, employee structure and key personnel, supplier and customer relationships, and intellectual property assets. Discuss market position, including your competitive advantages, market share if known, and industry trends. Outline growth opportunities. What could a new owner do to expand the business? Finally, include professional photos of your premises, equipment, and products if relevant. High-quality images make a significant difference in buyer perception. Here's the critical balance. Provide enough information to generate serious interest while withholding identifying details until buyers sign confidentiality agreements. You might describe your business as an established plumbing business servicing Brisbane's northern suburbs without naming the specific business. Create a two-tier approach. A one-page teaser that includes industry, general location, key financial metrics, and asking price, but nothing identifying. Then a full information memorandum that includes all details, provided only after buyers sign a non-disclosure agreement. Have your lawyer prepare a robust NDA template. This should prevent buyers from using confidential information for any purpose other than evaluating the purchase. Prohibit disclosure to third parties without your consent, and include remedies if the agreement is breached. Every buyer must sign this before receiving detailed information. Also prepare supporting documentation that buyers will request during due diligence. 3 years of financial statements and tax returns. Recent bank statements showing actual cash flow. BAS statements. Lease agreement and any amendments. Equipment lists and valuations. Key supplier and customer contracts. Employee agreements, licenses and permits. Intellectual property documentation, including trademarks and domain names. Having all this organised from the start demonstrates professionalism and allows you to respond quickly to buyer requests, which keeps momentum and builds confidence. Without a broker's network and marketing channels, you need to be creative and proactive in reaching potential buyers. Start with online business for sale platforms. In Australia, the main sites are businessesforsale.com, bizx.com.au, and Businesses to Sell. Listings typically cost $200 to $500 for several months of exposure. Create a compelling listing that follows the two-tier approach. Enough information to attract interest without revealing identity. Use professional language and formatting. Highlight key strengths. Include the asking price, or at least a range. Buyers appreciate transparency. Beyond general platforms, consider industry-specific channels. Trade publications, industry association websites, or specialised online communities where potential buyers in your sector gather. A restaurant might be listed on hospitality-specific sites. A medical practice might be advertised through medical industry channels. Leverage your professional network carefully. You might know competitors, suppliers, or industry contacts who could be interested buyers or who know potential buyers. However, extreme caution with confidentiality here. Only approach people you absolutely trust and require NDAs before discussing specifics. Consider direct outreach to strategic buyers, businesses that could benefit from acquiring yours, perhaps competitors looking to expand market share, or complementary businesses wanting to add your service offering. This requires careful research and very confidential approach, usually through intermediaries or with extremely tight NDAs. Don't overlook the power of for sale signage if appropriate for your business type and if confidentiality isn't critical. A well-placed sign can attract local buyers who know the area and see the opportunity. When inquiries come in, qualify them quickly. You can't afford to waste time with tire kickers or unqualified buyers. Ask about their background, why they're interested in this type of business, their financial capacity, and their timeline. Before sharing detailed information, require them to complete a buyer questionnaire and sign your NDA. Be prepared for the reality that you'll get many inquiries but few serious buyers. This is normal. Most inquiries won't progress past initial conversation. Stay patient and keep qualifying prospects systematically. When you receive offers, this is where selling privately gets challenging. Without a broker as buffer, you're negotiating directly with buyers. This requires discipline, emotional control, and strategic thinking. First, evaluate offers on multiple criteria, not just price. Look at the purchase price, obviously, but also the deposit amount. Larger deposits indicate serious commitment. Review settlement timeline. Is it realistic? Examine conditions. Are they reasonable or excessive? Finance approval, due diligence period, lease assignment, seller financing requests. Assess the buyer themselves. Do they seem capable of running the business? Have they demonstrated financial capacity? Don't accept the first offer immediately, even if it's your asking price. Buyers expect some negotiation. You might counter asking for shorter due diligence period, larger deposit, or better settlement terms, even if you accept their price. This shows you're a savvy seller, which builds respect. When you counter offer, provide reasoning. I've countered at $480,000 because recent comparable sales in this industry have been in the $475,000 to $520,000 range, and this business's strong growth trajectory justifies the higher valuation. Justified counters are more effective than arbitrary numbers. Keep emotions in check. Buyers will criticize aspects of your business. It's part of negotiation and due diligence. Don't take it personally. Respond professionally to objections with facts and data. If a buyer says the equipment is old, show maintenance records and remaining useful life assessments. If they question revenue, provide bank statements as proof. Be prepared to walk away from unreasonable buyers. Some people negotiate in bad faith, using due diligence to continually chip away at price. Others make unrealistic demands. If you've reached an impasse with a difficult buyer, it's sometimes better to return to market than waste months on a deal that won't close. However, also know when to compromise. If a buyer raises legitimate concerns discovered during due diligence, consider reasonable price adjustments. If market conditions have shifted since you listed, be realistic about current value. Flexibility within reason can be the difference between a successful sale and a failed transaction. Once you've agreed on terms, memorialize everything in writing immediately. Don't rely on verbal agreements. Use a letter of intent or heads of agreement that outlines all key terms: price, deposit, conditions, settlement date. Have your lawyer draft this or review it if the buyer's lawyer prepares it. During due diligence, the buyer will investigate everything about your business. Your job is to facilitate this professionally while protecting your interests. Provide requested documentation promptly and completely. Delays create suspicion and can kill deals. Organize materials logically. Use clearly labeled folders or digital files. Make yourself available to answer questions, but keep responses factual and professional. However, also maintain appropriate boundaries. Not every question deserves an immediate answer. Some require consultation with your advisors first. Particularly sensitive information might require additional confidentiality protections, and buyers shouldn't have unlimited access to disrupt operations or interact inappropriately with employees or customers. Common due diligence requests include detailed financial records, bank statements, BAS returns, tax returns, aged receivables and payables. Operational documents like supplier agreements, customer contracts, employee records, equipment service histories, legal compliance including licenses, permits, insurance policies, any litigation history, lease documentation with landlord contact information for assignment discussions. Be truthful about any problems or challenges. If there are issues with the business, disclose them proactively. Undisclosed problems discovered during due diligence destroy trust and often end negotiations immediately. Disclosed issues can be discussed, explained, and potentially adjusted in price or terms. Work closely with your lawyer throughout this process. They should prepare or review the formal contract of sale, which includes detailed asset schedules, purchase price allocation for tax purposes, warranties and representations you're making about the business, restraint of trade terms, settlement procedures, and post-settlement obligations, including your handover commitment. The restraint of trade clause prevents you from competing with the business after sale, typically 2 to 5 years within a specified geographic area. Negotiate these terms carefully. They should be reasonable enough to protect the buyer, but not so restrictive that they prevent you from earning a living in your field. As settlement approaches, prepare for the handover. Create detailed handover documentation, operations manuals, contact lists, system passwords, key customer information, supplier details. Plan the handover schedule, typically 1 to 4 weeks of your time helping the new owner transition smoothly. On settlement day, ensure all documentation is complete, all funds have cleared through lawyers' trust accounts, all assets transfer properly, and all necessary parties are available if issues arise. Once settlement completes, the business belongs to the buyer. Your role shifts to supportive handover advisor. Selling a business without a broker in Australia is absolutely possible, and for the right seller in the right situation, it can save significant money while maintaining full control of the process. But it's not the easy path. It requires substantial time investment, professional documentation, strategic marketing, skilled negotiation, and emotional resilience. Be honest with yourself about whether you have the capability, capacity, and temperament to handle this yourself. If you do proceed with private sale, engage quality professional advisors, a business valuer to establish realistic pricing, a lawyer experienced in business sales, and an accountant to assist with financial preparation and tax optimization. These professionals' fees are money well spent, even in a private sale. Remember that even with private sale, the goal isn't just to complete a transaction, it's to achieve the best possible outcome while protecting your interests and setting the buyer up for success. Sometimes that means recognizing when professional broker assistance would serve you better, even with the commission cost. For more insights on buying and selling businesses in Australia, visit offmarketgroup.com.au.